So is that making sense? So take it from there. Use your calculator. Don't say it out loud. Give everybody a chance to find it. Take it from there. So again, we multiply the front times the last. Front times the last, and put it on the top. Multiply. 4 times 13 right there. And the bottom comes from the middle. We put the 4x in the bow tie. How do you find, when you're looking at difficult numbers like this, like 52, you're looking for two numbers that multiply to be 52 and they add to be minus 28. Now, those aren't probably things like you know off the top of your head. So how do you find those?
Dividing.
Yeah, you remember you take that number on the top, take it over wherever you want, side of the paper or whatever. I'll just put it over here. And then you just take your calculator out and you start dividing. And start with 2, right? Divide by 2, divide by 3, divide by 4. Just keep going, and every time you get an answer, then that pair is a maybe. It's a candidate. It might be the right pair, it might not. Remember how that works? So you take that number in the middle, take it on the side of your paper, divide by 2, 3, 4, use your calculator. Because you're looking for a pair of numbers, two numbers, that multiply to be 52 and add to be minus 28. Two numbers that do that. So if you divide by 2, you get 26. And there it is already, huh? 2 and 26. Because that pair of numbers can make 28. Right? If they're both negative, huh? So you put them over here. 2 and 26. Remember that now the signs, how do we determine the signs? Who tells us the pluses and the minuses?
The bottom.
The bottom. The bottom tells us whether things are positive or negative or whatever. And what's the rule? The bottom goes on the
bigger number.
Bigger. BB. Bottom always goes, maybe the other one too, but for sure, always the bigger takes the bottom sign. Every time. The 26 is the bigger. 26 is bigger than 2. So it takes the bottom sign for sure every time. And then what's the other one? It's also negative because, you know, just think about money. If you lose $2 and lose $26, you lost $28. And two negatives multiply to be positive 52, don't they? So that's my pair of numbers. We good so far? Everybody see how I found that pair? Do you know how to finish it from here now? Let me give you a second. So now that we found the pair, here, how do we finish off the bow tie method? Yeah, we look at these two and these two, and we see if we can divide them both by anything. So does anything go into 4 and into negative 2?
2.
Yeah, 2 will go into both of them, huh? So you divide them both by 2. So that's going to be, so divide by 2, so that'll become 2x. And what is negative 2 divided by 2?
1.
Negative 1, huh? We good there? So far, so good? That's one of the parentheses. We're halfway there. Right? So I just divide. Why did I divide both by 2? Because I could. Simply, if anything goes into both of them, you do that. So 2 goes into both of them. So it becomes 2x and negative 1, right? Negative 2 divided by 2, negative 1. And then these two, same thing. We're just going to swap the order. But what goes into 26 and 4? 2 again. Same thing, huh? 2 again. So divide by 2 and divide by 2. Okay, and then I'm going to swap the negative 26 divided by 2. Minus 13. And 4x divided by 2. 2x. We just like to put the x's in the front. So I swap the order there. And I'm done. There it is. If you FOILed that out, it would go back. Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm forgetting one small thing. I always forget. What am I forgetting, Karina? The y's. Yeah, when there's y squared on the right, there needs to be y's on the right of each parenthesis. Just like x squared on the left means x is on the left of each parenthesis, huh? Same thing. It's easy to forget that. I'm just all focused on the numbers. Yeah, you got to put a y and a y. Now we're good. Now, when I started thinking about pulling that out, I went, oh, no, that's not going to work.
You need to put only one y, or yes?
No, you got to have both, because y times y is y squared. Makes sense? So that really would FOIL now to go back to that one. How are we doing on that? How many got that right? How are we doing? Can I see hands? All right, we're not at half yet. We're not at half yet. So we'll practice another one really slowly. Before we do another one, though, let me run over this one more time, and you let me know questions you have. We'll do many of them very slowly tonight. I want you all to be masters in an hour and 50 minutes. I'm hoping that we're all masters of the bow tie method. All right, so let's see, what do you do one more time? So if you have a number in the front, you multiply it to the number in the back with your calculator, 4 times 13, and write it in the top. So multiply, and that's your multiply number. And then you take the middle, and you put it in the bottom. And that's your add number. And then you find two numbers that'll multiply to be plus 52 and add to be negative 28. How do you find those numbers? You take the top number on the side with your calculator, you divide by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, until you get a pair of numbers that can work. 2 and 26, that was my pair. Make a button. The sign on the bottom always goes on the bigger. So minus 2 and minus 26 adds to be negative 28, multiplies, two negatives multiply to be positive, it's right. So I said, okay, that's my pair. So then, as soon as I had that, I said, okay, so I'm gonna now look at these two numbers. Last step is you say what divides into those two, divide them both by 2, 2x minus 1, and divide those both by 2, 2x minus 13. Put the y's at the back, because y squared is at the back. Questions? Are we good? All right. First thing we should, I bet you know, what's the first thing we should do with that one?
Organize it.
Yeah, it's in an order, huh? We always want to go highest power to lowest, so let's do that. Let's just reorder that thing. So let's go reorder. Highest power. You want the x squared coming first, huh? So x squared minus 7x plus 12. There we go. So reorder. All right, dive into the bow tie. What's the number in the front this time? I don't see any number in the front.
1.
It's an understood invisible 1. Right? So take it from there. Set up the bow tie thing.
Bless you.
Yeah. Minus 3, minus.
Looks like Roman numeral 9 out there. All right, anyway, sorry, I don't mean to throw you off.
What has to be plus?
Take it from there. Okay, so we good? We good to follow through? So how do we do this? The number in the front multiplies the number in the back. 1 times 12 is 12. Oh, my pen's not working right here.
12.
Let me try that. Yeah, 12.
Positive 12.
Yeah, positive 12, exactly. Positive 12, like that. And the middle is the minus 7 add. We good so far? This all making sense. So how we always do the bow tie is we multiply front times back, put it in the top, middle, and the bottom. And now we want two numbers that multiply to be 12, add to be minus 7. So start with the 12. Over on the side here. I'll start with the 12. I'll say, okay, 12. What times what is 12?
2 times 6.
Yeah, 2 times 6. 3. Oops. Pencil, I need a new one. 3. 3 times 4. And what else? And 1 times 12, I guess, huh? So those are all the things that multiply to be 12. Which of those can possibly make minus 7? The 3 and the 4, right? And what sign? Now, remember, the sign on the bottom goes on the bigger.
The big one.
So they need to both be negative, don't they? Minus 4, minus 3, both negative. Makes minus 7 on the bottom. Is that good? And multiplies to be plus 12, doesn't it? Okay, now, last step. Are these two both divisible, that 1x and the negative 3, are they both divisible by something? No. Nothing goes into 1 and negative 3. I mean, other than 1, but we don't count that. How about these? So we just bring it down as is, no changes. Right? If nothing divides in, we just bring it straight down. 1x minus 3. How about these two? What goes into those two? Nothing. So bring that over here. 1x minus 4. We're done. How are we doing? That was an easier one because we just have a 1 in the front. Is that good? Questions? So how many got that? Let's see. I want to see how we're doing. Okay, we're about half. That's good. No questions? All right. Let's do the bow tie. So, whoops. I got to get a better pencil. So the bow tie thing. My bow ties are getting a little better. All right. Oh, I was supposed to reorder. I forgot. So you put the highest power in the front, down to the lowest. Right. We always reorder from highest power to lowest. Okay. And then what do you put out here? Just 2x. We don't put the whole 2x squared. We don't quite put the entire front term. Just regular x, right? We don't, just 2x in the bow tie. That's what makes it work. Okay, so now, what goes up top? Up here is the multiply. 2 times negative 3? Negative 6. And then, what number's in the middle here?
1.
It's a negative 1, huh? And that's the add. All right, so what are two numbers? What times what multiplies to be 6? 1 times 6 or 2 times 3? Probably 2 times 3, huh? Is what we want there. So let's do it. So 2 times 3. How do you do the signs on those?
The bigger one.
Yeah, bottom bigger, right? The sign on the bottom, which is a minus sign, goes on the bigger. So minus 3 plus 2. That makes negative 1, right? 2 take away 3 is negative 1. They multiply to be negative 6. It's working. That's the pair. So we're one step from the answer now. Everybody good on the last step? That's the only part I saw people getting stuck on was that last step. So you take these two. You know what it's like? It's kind of like reducing a fraction, but sideways. You know what I mean? Like what if you had 2x over 2? You would divide top and bottom by 2, wouldn't you? Right? So it's kind of like a sideways fraction. 2 and 2, what can you divide them both by? Divide them both by 2, and they'll both become 1. You with me? It's like a sideways fraction kind of like. So divide them both by 2, and bring down x, and bring down plus 1, right? Positive 2 divided by 2. And how about the other? These two. Are they both divisible? No. So just bring them down. Since nothing goes in, has everybody seen what I'm saying on that? If the two numbers can both be divided by the same number, you do it. If they can't, you just bring them down. No changes. Everybody seeing that? So the 2x and the minus 3, I'll just bring them down. They can't be divided by anything. And there we go. Are we good? Questions on that? How many got that? How are we doing? A lot of us got it. That's good. Questions?
Was that the one in front?
All right. Looks like most of you guys are right on track. So we multiply the front times the back. I'm going to do the bow tie. So my bow tie is looking weird. So front times the back. Put the bow tie thing here. This is 25p. 25p. And the front times the back is negative 75. And then the middle is negative 74 for the add number, huh?
Yes.
All right, so now We're looking for two numbers that multiply to be 74. What time, I'm sorry, 75. What times what is 75? 1 times 75, huh? We'll multiply. And what signs? The sign on the bottom goes on the bigger. Every time. Bottom bigger, bottom bigger. So the bottom goes on the bigger. So minus 75 plus 1. That'll add to be negative 74. Multiply to be negative 75, won't it? Right? If you gained $1 and lost 75, you lost 74. They times to be negative 75, huh? It's good. Now, let me help you with the divide thing. Let me give you a tip. Do you know that number we took in the beginning and multiplied, the number in the front? The number in the front is always what you're going to divide everybody by in parts or one of them in whole. Make that sentence again. The number in the front, it's always going to be this way. That number in the front, that 25, that's always what you're going to divide by at the end, but there's a couple ways you could do that. 25 is made out of 5 times 5. So you could divide one side by 5, these two numbers by 5, and those two numbers by 5. Maybe. Or you could divide one side by, both of them by 25, and the other side by nothing. Somehow you're going to end up doing a total dividing of 25. Does that make sense? Know that, and it'll help you. Whatever, one more time, whatever number is in the front, when you wrap up at the last step, you're always going to be dividing by a total of that amount, 25. Either by doing 5 and 5 or nothing and 25. Either way, you're going to always end up dividing by that number in the front at the end. Why? Because you're undoing the multiply. Because we multiplied by him in the beginning. We're undoing that by dividing by that amount at the end. So that means, so I look at this, I think, I'm going to divide by 25. Either by 5 or by nothing in 25. So which one is it? Yeah, we look here and we say, well, these guys have nothing. Nothing goes into 25 and 1. Nothing goes into 1, except for 1, I mean. 1 goes into everything. Right? So that's the nothing pair. So just bring that pair down. Whoop, not 2p. 25p plus 1. So since I divided them by nothing, I know the other pair has to divide by 25. Because again, you're always going to divide by that entire amount in the front every time. So these two must both divide by 25. Is everybody hearing me on that? That'll make life easier just to know that. So 25 divided by 25, that's got to be 1p or just p. And then minus 75 divided by 2. How many quarters and 75 cents? 3. And it's negative because that's the sign on the 75. There we go. Not making sense? You're always going to divide by the front number at the end, either 5 and 5 or 25 and nothing. In this case, it was nothing and 25. Yeah, Monica.
Okay, so on number 4, you brought the y's down into the answer, but like on this one,
yes,
the negative 74p, like the p's just gone.
Okay, so here's number 4 again. So on number 4, it was because there was y squared on the right side that I brought y's down on the right at the very end. It was just because of that. So let's go back to number 7. See, no letters on the right side. No letters on the right side. So what was your question about the p then?
Well, no, that's why I was wondering, because I remembered you brought down the y, but then like the negative 74p, the p just like disappears.
Where do you? Oh.
So I didn't know what was the difference, why the y came down, but then...
Because it was on the right side.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only on the right side. Yeah, that p, if you foiled this out, you would get that middle term p. These p's would foil and produce that middle. Yeah, it's only when there's a letter on the right that we have to put stuff on the right. And, p squared on the left, p's on the left, nothing on the right, no letters on the right. Yeah, it's just on the right. Good question. Other questions on that one? That good? Okay. So let's... First step, I'm kind of scribbling it up there. So first, this is going to be in combination with the new stuff. So first, take out GCF. Remember how we learned to do that? I wasn't doing it on the other 8 problems because there wasn't any. Like look back at number 8 or 7, I guess it is. They didn't all have a P. There was no number they all had. They didn't have a GCF. So I wasn't really bothering with it. But really, it's a good habit to always be looking for the GCF. So is there a GCF here? Is there something they all have? They all have an X. Right? And remember when it was letters, take the lowest one. Now, is there a number that goes into all those? No, you can check in your calculator. No number goes in all those. So just take out the X. And then what goes, and remember you do the one big parenthesis. Whenever you do the GCF, you do the one big parenthesis, and then you go to the bow tie to get the two parentheses, right? So take out the X. That'd be 28 X squared plus 59X plus 13. There we go. Now with that, now use this for the bow tie. So go to the bow tie now. Go to the bow tie and put the, and when you're all done, that X that's in the front, put him in the front of the final answer. He will be part of the final answer. We just don't need to mess with him till then. So take it from there. Those are some ugly numbers. Okay, so when we go front times back, 28 times 13, I don't know, 280 and 60, 84, and so 364, is that what it is?
Yeah.
364 positive. And then 59 positive down here. So when you have gigantic numbers like that, what do? You take that big old 364 over on the side of your paper. I don't expect you to know like off the top of your head, the things that multiply to go into 364. And start dividing by 2, 3, 4, 5. And as you go, what are you looking for? You're looking for a pair of numbers that can somehow make the 59. Right? Is that good? On a pair of numbers that can somehow make the 59. So if you divide by 2, you'll get like 182, I think. That's not going to work. Divided by 3, it's like some crazy decimal. It doesn't even go, right? Divided by 4, I think it's 91. Divided by 5, it doesn't even go. Divide by 6, it doesn't even go. Divide by 7, 52. Oh, there it is, huh? 7 and 52 can make the 59. Does that make sense how I found that? So keep going. What are we going to divide by at the end of this problem? What do we know we're going to divide by? Yeah, the number in the front. Either by 28, like 28 and nothing, or maybe 14 and 2, because that's 28, or 4 and 7. Any combos that multiply to be 28 are possible. Right? So it could be 28 and nothing, could be 4 and 7, could be 2 and 14. We're going to divide the sides by at the end, at the very end. That last division step, we're always going to divide by whatever the front number was, 28, in one way or the other. Either by 28 and nothing, 4 and 7, or whatever the other one is, 2 and 14. It's going to be one, you're looking for one of those combos. So keep going. So it looks like everybody's doing good right here. You're getting to the 7 and the 52, both positive, right? Because they multiply to be 364, I had to be 59. Oh, and I forgot to put in my my original 28x and 28x. Okay, now let's talk about the last dividing step. And let's make sure that I'm making sense for you here. The last dividing step is always going to go in the following way. You're always going to divide out the whole original number, 28. But there's several ways to divide out 28. Like if I said, hey, I'm going to divide by 28. Well, how can you do that? Well, what are the things in a 28? What are the guts of a 28? You ever think about that? Probably not. That's what weird math teachers think about. But what's in a 28? It's like a biology class. We're cutting open the frog, saying, what's in there? What's in a 28? What multiple? 4 and 7, 2 and 14, 1 and 28. So when I say we're going to divide by the 28, I mean we're going to divide one pair by 1, no, there's nothing, and the other pair by 28. Or we're going to divide one pair by 2 and the other pair by 14. Or we're going to divide one pair by 4 and the other by 7. All those will really be 28 in the end. Pairs of numbers that times to be 28, not add. Times to be 28. Right? You tracking with me? So that's what I mean when I say at the very end, you're always going to divide out that front number, however it may be. And however it may be means any way things multiply to be 28. Okay, so with that in mind, we're thinking I need two things that multiply to be 28. That's what I'm going to divide out. Let's go back and say, okay, look at these two. What goes into 7 and 28? 7, right?
7.
Guys, football fans, watch football. 28, very common number in football. 4 sevens, 4 touchdowns. 28, no? All right, so 7 goes into both those. 7 goes into both those. Use your calculator if you're not sure. They're both, so I'm going to go divide by 7, and so that's going to, and then bring it down. That'll be 4x plus 1. Now, as soon as I divide that one by 7, if you divide one of them by 7, what's the other one got to be divided by? It's got to be 4. Because the two things you divide by have to multiply to be the whole 28, because you're dividing by the whole 28. Always. Without exception. Does that make sense? So if I'm dividing this side by 7, I don't even need to think about it. I know these two, I've got to divide by the rest of the 28, meaning the other number times 7 that makes 28, which is 4. Is that making sense? You're always going to divide by the whole 28. So if one side does 7, the other has to be whatever would multiply by 7. So if you're not sure, again, if all these times tables are a little rusty for you, it's no problem. Just use your calculator. Once you realize this is 7, just take the 28 and divide by 7. It'll tell you the other number's 4. Does that make sense? You see what I just said there? Did you hear what I just said there? Is that making sense? So once I know this is 7, you know what you could do is you could go, okay, then 28, I'm going to divide by 7. I'm already using the 7. What does that leave me? 4. And that tells me the other number's got to be 4. Do you see that?
This is something new.
Because the two numbers together must multiply. The two numbers you divide by must multiply to be 28. So then what do you get? 28 divided by 4, 7x. 52 divided by 4, what is that, 13? And we're done. We are done.
Before I always try to divide both sides by the same number.
And sometimes it is, but usually it's not.
It's the other part of the... okay.
Yeah. What's that? Oh yeah, and that X in the front. Yeah, that's right, thanks. Don't forget to put that X back in the front at the very end. The one we took out on the very first step, the GCF, he has to be there at the end. Thank you. Like that. Yeah.
7x.
Is that good? Is that making sense?
And that's how we end at the end.
You know, the reason I'm pausing is I'm thinking about a way to make this a little simpler. Do you know what's always going to be true, I'm realizing, as I think about this? You know how, like, you look here and you go, I'm going to divide by 7, and you do that, you divide by 7, you get 4x plus 1. Do you know whatever number you get here, that's going to be that other dividing number, right? You're seeing the 2 shall be, yeah. That's going to be your other dividing number. Is that easier? So let me say that again. So when you do one side, let's just start with the one side. Forget about this. Just start with the one side. Go, hey, what goes into these guys? 7. Divide them both by 7. Whatever you get in the front, that number will be the one you divide the other two by. Every time. Why? Because these have to make it 28. So it'll be the other number every time. So that makes everybody catch that again. So when you do the first pair and you do the first dividing, whatever you get here, that'll be the other, what you divide the other side by every time. All right, should we try another one? All right, so first we have to reorder. You know all about that. And we should say, is there anything in common to all the terms? No. It's good that we look for it, though. Do the bow tie. And put the 12x and the 12x. And then you multiply in your calculator. Front times back, it'll be minus. You multiply to be minus 144. And down here you add to be plus 7. I encourage you to put the plus sign. It just to really, instead of just blank 7, you don't have to, but it just might make it more clear for you. Okay, so now, how do you find the pair of numbers that'll do that? Is everybody seeing what I'm saying on that? Don't worry about signs for this part. Just grab the 144 that's up there, right? You always grab the number on the top, and just divide on your calculator really quick. Divide by 2, divide by 3, divide by 4, divide by 5, divide by 6, divide by 7, divide by 8. And just every time you get an answer that's not a decimal, think about if that pair can somehow make the 7 by adding or subtracting, because the 7 comes from adding, right? So divide by 2, you'll get 72. Can 2 and 72 add or subtract to be 7? Not even close. Keep moving. Divide by 3 is it 48? And can 3 and 48 add or subtract to make 7? Not even close. Divide by 4 would be 36. Can 4 and 36 add or subtract? No, not even close. Divide by 5, it's some crazy decimal. Divide by 6, it's 24. Can 6 and 24 add or subtract to be 7? No way. Divide by 7 is some crazy decimal. Divide by 8, it's 18. Now 8 and 18 are getting closer. They can subtract to be 10. They're getting closer to the 7, but they're not there yet. Divide by, see how you're getting warm? It's like playing warmer, colder. You're getting warmer, right? Divide by 9, 16. Can 9 and 16? Yeah. If you subtract them, it's 7. That's your pair. 9 and 16. Doesn't matter what order. You put the 16 there, 9 there, whatever. What order doesn't matter, but signs do. Order doesn't matter, but signs do matter. How do we do the signs always? Sign on the bottom?
And the bigger.
Goes to the bigger. Automatically, every time without exception. So the sign on the bottom is plus. The sign on the bigger is plus. The other one may be the same as that or opposite. In this case, you all know it's opposite because 16 minus 9 is plus 7. And they multiply to be negative 144. Good to there? Now, for the big infamous dividing step. How do we do the dividing step? I would just start with one side. I think I've given you different ways. I think I've got a better refined game plan now. Let's just do one side at a time. Just start with the left side. Just ask yourself, what goes in to 12 and 9?
3.
Yeah, if you're not sure, use your calculator. 3 goes into both of them, right? 3 goes into both of them. So that means just go ahead and divide them both by 3. Divide them both by 3. Bring down, what do you got? 4x and minus 3, right? Negative 9 divided by 3. And as soon as you get this 4 here, what does that tell you?
The multiply to make that.
The other side, yeah, you divide them both by 4. Y'all see what I'm saying there? So that first answer you get in the front, that's what you divide the other side by. It'll tell you the other side automatically. What to divide by on the other side automatically. Are we good? I'm not seeing any nodding. Is that not good? I mean, you don't have to nod, but I want to make sure I'm coming across. Is that making sense? So whatever. So just do one side. Just start with one side. Say, hey, divide both by 3. When you get that front answer, that tells you what to divide on the other side every time. Divide them both by 4. And we will get, and then put the x in the front. 3x. This will be, bless you, plus 4. And we're done. How are we doing? It's getting easier? It's making sense? This is the hardest kind of factoring in this chapter, so you're doing well if you're getting that. No questions? It's because you want to get a degree, right? We know the answer to that. All right. So what's the first question we ask? GCF. Yeah, what's in common to all the terms? What is in common to all those terms? B. They all have a B. So you want to take that out. Leaves 88a squared minus 9a minus 9. We good?
So you wouldn't take 9 out?
Well, 9 doesn't go into 88. Try it. 88 divided by 9 doesn't work. So I would if I could, but I can't, so I don't.
Okay, that wasn't that one.
Good. So take out that b, and then that b will be there at the end, right? At the very end, we'll put that b on our final answer. But now you just work on the rest of the stuff, right? Take it from there.
We got those. Now we have to divide.
It's funny there's even colleges anymore, right? Just go on YouTube.
Yeah, it tells you everything.
It does. All right, so multiply the front times the
I
back.
think we can divide by nothing.
So multiply front times back. What is that number? 720. 792, that's it.
792.
790, it's negative, huh?
Yes.
I'm gonna, yeah, okay, it's 88A.
Oh, yeah, you divide by. You can divide by 2.
Okay, so we have to take, and then this is minus 9 down here to add. So we've got to take that terrible 792. Are you guys getting it?
Yes. You're so charming.
So I'm going to take that 792 and just start dividing by things. If you divide by 2, it's not even in the ballpark. 396, isn't it? And now remember, you're looking for two numbers. Let me give you a little general wisdom about this process. Do you see 2 and 396? They are so far from being able to add or subtract to be 9 that it's crazy. That I would not go on and do 3, 4, 5, 6. We're playing warmer, colder, and we are ice cold right now. So we need to move in a new direction. So I would go up to like 10 at this point. I would probably take a jump, go to 10. That's a decimal, so that doesn't work. So keep going. Just telling you how I would do it with the calculator. 11. That's no, it's a decimal. Divide by 12. What is it divided by 12? 66? And I go 12 and 66. Now they're a little closer, aren't they? I'm getting warmer. Do you see that? What do I mean? What do I mean? Well, they subtract. Those numbers would subtract to be 50-something. That's a little closer to 9. I'm still a ways away. But you see how I know I'm getting warmer? I'm going in the right direction. So I'd keep going. 13, no. 14, no. 15 might work. I don't know. Basically, you keep going. You eventually do 24, and you get 33. And that's your pair. I just got it from Manuel. 24 and 33.
I know a trick for everybody.
Yeah. Is that good? Is that making sense? 24, 33. So you just got to. It's kind of tedious. This is where I don't totally like these kind of methods, but the slide and divide, same kind of thing. It's kind of tricky.
Slide and divide.
It's the same. With Lucho, it's like.
Yeah, it's sort of the same. Yeah, this is a little nicer. So does that make sense on that so far? 24 and 33 is the pair. So now you figure out the signs. They need certain signs, right? The bottom bigger, always. So 24 and 33. So if you bring them up and you write 24 and 33. So the sign on the bottom goes on the bigger, right? Like that. That makes sense? How are we doing? Am I completely losing you? Are you completely discouraged? You're like, this is craziness.
It's pretty.
Are we okay? Big ugly numbers.
Refreshing.
Can you finish it from there? It's still hard, isn't it?
That's cheating. Underrated.
All right. So let me. You guys okay to dial back in? Let me show you a couple tips about big ugly numbers like this. So does everybody see how I found these numbers? I looked on Manuel's paper. But really, you get the idea here. When you divide by 2 and you're like miles off, don't bother with 3, 4, 5, 6. Jump to 10, jump to 20, until you start getting closer. Right?
Yeah.
And then there it is at 24. Okay, now we got to look at the first two numbers and we got to divide. Right? So what goes into 88 and 24? Let me do it wrong and show you how I know it's wrong, because this is an easy mistake to make. Everybody want to dial in with me for a second? I mean, if you're working on something, catch this. This will help you. What if I looked at 88 and 24, and this is what I see a lot of students do on tests and stuff, and they'll go, oh, well, I know they both divide by 2. That's true, but that's not the biggest thing. How do you know? Watch. Here's how you would know. If you divided them both by 2, only 2, that would be wrong. Here's how you would know. You would get 44A, which, that looks fine, plus, and then 24 divided by 2, 12. That is screaming out wrong. Why? How's it saying wrong? What language? Because they have more in common. 44 and 12, 2 goes into them. And probably other stuff too. That means you did not divide out all their commonness. 2 wasn't it. There was more. Does that make sense? When we're done, the parentheses should have nothing in common. See how 4 goes into both those and probably other things too? See what I mean? That is saying, I'm trying to do an alarm sound. Wrong. Right? Are you hearing that? Is that alarm going off for you?
Yeah.
If the 2 numbers in the parentheses have anything in common, that's wrong.
Oh.
When you're done, they should have nothing in common. There we go. A little better. So then what do? Well, you back up and you divide by a bigger number. It's not just 2. Then you go, well, okay, maybe it's 4. I'll divide them both by 4. And this is all just calculated.
Yeah.
Divide by 4. And then I'll go back and I'll get, okay, that'd be 22a and 6. Is that good?
Getting closer.
It's still going, wrong, because those are both divisible by 2, aren't they?
Yeah.
Now that'll tell you what to put. Put another multiply by 2 there. Make it 8, and you'll have it. Because that's all that's left here is 2. So that means, oh, no, you still don't have it. Go back up, multiply that by 2, make it 8. Take that 4 and go times 2, make it 8. Try it again, divide them both by 8, and you're going to get 11a plus 3. Is that one right? Yeah, there's nothing more in common. So we've got that first one. Are we good? Everybody see how I know when I've got the first one right with the dividing. There's nothing more in common. And that then tells me how to do the second one automatically.
The 11.
Use the 11. See how this process works? Use the 11 now. For sure that'll work. Don't even need to think hard. For sure, just go over here, divide both these, divide by 11, divide by 11, bring them down. This will be 8a minus 3. That's an a there too. And we're finally there. That's a terrible one. Oh, that's actually the wrong after. After all that, Math Excel will say wrong. What's wrong? I forgot that B. Yeah, it's easy to forget after all that. Put that B back in the front. That's about as bad as they get. The other method that I've taught for years is where I just teach people, just write them down. Just skip all this and just write down the parentheses and just think. Front times front has to make 88. What times what's 88? 8 and 11. So that method is a little better on these super hard ones, but we don't got time for me to show you a whole other method. But that is the other method, to just kind of write them down and piece it together and work it out, which is better when they're such gigantic, terrible numbers. All right, we better move on. So first take out what's in common. GCF, 3y. What goes inside? Whatever works, huh?
Yep. Check it out. Getting closer.
We good there?
Baby's getting closer.
Right, so let's see it. So bow tie time. So I'm going to do the bow tie thing. When I do this, we're going to be, I'm going to put just the 5y, right? We don't go back to the 15, huh? Right? Once we take out a GCF, we're just looking at this stuff now. We're not going back to the original for anything. So just 5y and 5y. And then these will multiply. 5 times negative 10. Negative 50 is what they multiply by. Minus 23 is what they're going to add. Okay, now, is this making sense? You take the top number, minus 50 on the side, or just 50. You don't need the signs right now. And then just divide by 2. Divide by 3. Divide by 4, etc. Right there, divide by 2 is 25. And ask yourself, can 2 and 25 make the 23? The bottom number. Yeah, they can. So I'll go 2 and 25. Now, what signs do they need? Sign on the bottom?
Go to the big.
Goes on the bigger. Right? Bottom bigger. And this, I really encourage you, write a plus sign there. Don't just leave a blank. Write a plus. That'll help you not mess up your signs later. So, okay, now, how do we go from here?
We have to divide.
Let's start with this first pair. What goes into 5 and 2? Nothing. So just bring it down straight. 5y and plus 2. Good. Nothing goes into them. But that tells me right away what to do on my second one. What the number there, huh? These two, divide them both by 5. Make sense? So 5y divided by 5. Y minus 25 divided by 5. Minus 5. And don't forget the 3y. There it is. This getting any easier?
Interesting.
Is that okay? Questions on that one? All right. So when there's negative in the front, GCF, -1. -1. 1 big parentheses. All signs change, huh? So take a -1 to the front. And then all these signs will change. Become regular 14x squared positive minus 59x plus 35. Is that good? See how that's right? See how if I took that -1 and multiplied it, it would go right back to these three? See how that's right? Now, leave that -1 in the front. That'll be part of the final answer. Now just work with these guys. Do the bow tie with those three now.
I'm saying, but how do you put it in?
Okay, so let's
But that's not gonna work.
do the bow tie.
You plug it in the car. You put a converter in the car.
14x.
They had the USB connected.
Okay, so 14 times 35. What is it? 490.
490.
So 490, and then down here, minus 59. So the top numbers you multiply, the bottoms you add as usual. So you take the 490 on the side, you probably go divide by 2, divide by 3, etc. When you get down to divide by 10, you'll get 49. 10 and 49, they can make the 59 at the bottom, huh? So 10 and 49. Now, the sign on the bottom always goes on the bigger. It may also go on the other one, but it for sure goes on the bigger. Always, huh? Sign on the bottom goes bigger. Now, what's the other one need? Also negative, huh? It goes on both this time because if you lose 10 bucks, you lose 49, you lost 59. Huh? 2 negatives multiply, be positive. So it's all good. So now, let's do the first two. What goes into 14 and -10? 2, huh? 2. So divide by 2. Divide by 2 brings down 7x and minus 5. Is that good? And then this, that tells me to bring it over here. Take these two and divide them both by 7. Right? That makes it 2x and minus 7. And I'm done almost. If I type that in, it's going to tell me no. Math Excel is merciless. It should say, well, good enough, pretty good. Just forgot the -1. No, but it says, no, wrong. Yeah, don't forget that -1 that we took at GCF. Don't forget GCF. There we go. We good? It's getting better.
Why?
So first step is to take out x. Is that good to there? So I took out the x. That x, if it multiplied, boom, 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 would go back, back, back. Right? Is that right? Is that good? right? Remember, you're imagining remultiplying the powers would add. So now do the bow tie on what's left. So I'll do the bow tie. Now, oh, this might be a little confusing. Yeah, let me mention, when you do the bow tie in this one, you're going to put 6x squared, actually. So we always take half of the power. We haven't had one that was 4 out there before. You always take half the power. So normally we just have 2 here, and we just take x to the first. Right? You always have to take half of the power. So you want to take 6x squared in the bow tie.
Mm-hmm.
So that's different.
Take half of the power.
Half of the power. And so then multiply 6 times 35, 180 and 30, 210?
All time.
Positive,
When it's like
210, 211. Oh, that's helpful. 210, 211. So that's not too bad of numbers, right? What multiplies to be 210 and adds to be 211?
1 times 210.
1 times 210, huh? It's got to be 1 times 210, both positive, right? They'll multiply to be 210, they'll add to be 211. And you take it from there. Finish from there.
That's
Grow.
boom.
Oh, be the fourth on the right.
That's bad. That's all bad. Look at this. Look at it. It goes forward all the way. Look.
Oh,
Boom.
B2. And then
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, for doing all
Gotcha.
that.
Oh, no, before the front there, no. Yeah, I'll say a word about that.
Oh, you heard.
yeah.
Okay, so let's wrap this one up now. So these first two, what goes into 6 and 1? Nothing. So bring them down. So 6x squared plus 1, and that tells me what to divide the other two by. This number in the front. Divide them both by 6. And that brings down x squared plus, I don't know, what's 210 divided by 6? 70, 35?
35.
35. Now, hold on. We have to fix the letters. Remember how it works. We're just looking at front and back. Don't worry about this stuff in the middle. Don't let that confuse you. Just look at the front. X to the 4th. So that has to be 2 and 2. So that's good. Look at the back. Y to the 4th in the back. So what does that mean in the back of both same parentheses?
Yeah.
Y squared to make y to the 4th. That makes sense. Don't worry about the middle. Just look at front and back. So if in the front is x to the 4th, that's x squared in the front. In the back is y to the 4th, that's y squared. In the back. Is that the right answer?
Yes.
Except for?
Need the X on the side.
Don't forget the GCF. After all that hard work, the bummer to forget the GCF.